Everybody's talking about this case. Everybody. Where is Sudiksha? Where is she? 20-year-old girl missing in Dominican Republic. Out with some friends on spring break, having fun. Pittsburgh University student, ladies and gentlemen. And she's gone. This is a mysterious case because no one can find her. No one knows where she is. Her friends seems to be clueless, but also the last person that was with her doesn't even know where she went, where is she, anything, and just left her. But before we even talk about him, I don't want to get too much into him. His name is Joshua. I don't want to get into him. I want to talk about Sudiksha and what led to these moments, a timeline, what have you. This podcast about Sudiksha is going to understand what truly happened, get into the depth, the details. That's what we do here in University. This is a true crime trending topics podcast. Welcome. Do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you are brand new, like I always say to all my people in the chat, I would appreciate that so much. Now, we have been doing a lot of breaking coverage and trending topics, but recently we have covered a lot of true crime. And today we are going to talk about, finally, in depth, a missing person, a true crime case. She is missing and no one knows where Sudiksha is at. And not even the person that was last with her? Now, everybody on the internet is saying they don't believe him. What do you believe? Today, we're going to, again, focus on her disappearance and the story. What could have happened? But as for the guy that was last with her, we're going to talk very little about him. We're going to save that for tomorrow as we go more in detail about who he is. Why did he leave her? He was the last person. And how could you not have known? She went with her friends, right? Spring break, hotel bar. They left, went to the beach. He was the last one with her, but then a lot of questions. But again, let's get to the beginning. Let's understand his timeline. Let's get to it.
It's been almost 5 days since anyone's seen a 20-year-old spring breaker from the University of Pittsburgh. Sudiksha Konanki left a hotel bar in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic with a group of friends headed for the beach. Most of the friends were later seen leaving the beach, but Sudiksha stayed behind with a guy, and then the guy left without Sudiksha. My next guest was at the same resort on the same day. She says the waves were big and they were dangerous, and she has the video to prove it. Delani Sweeney joins me now live. Delani, the video that we were just showing, and we'll show it again, does show red flags that the conditions were very rough and that the swimming would have been very rough. Do you remember it being that way on that day that Sudiksha went missing?
Yeah, I remember the waves being a lot bigger than they normally were. Me and my friends were on the beach, and I remember telling them that I was not going to go into the ocean because I know I could swim, but not that well enough to feel safe in the ocean. I know a couple friends that did go in, but they weren't in for a while, and there weren't as many people in the ocean as we normally would see.
So we know, from your account and from your video that the waves were rough, that the surf was rough. What about the danger of the beach itself? Did anybody at the resort or anyone in the DR ever say to you, be careful at night going down the beach. Don't go down this way or that way, or don't wander off our resort part of the beach. Or did you even notice lots of police or patrols on the beach? What was that like?
There was no communication from the resort at all of, this is our beach safety, to be safe. It was kind of just left up to your own discretion. I know we would go down and another group of people would go down to take beach pictures. And one night there was a security guard whistling at people to come in from the beach that were going in. But that was the only night that I had seen it. And we went practically almost every day down to the beach to take pictures. And that was the only night that I saw.
But interesting that there was someone out there, a guard, who was whistling at anybody going into the water, like, come out, it's nighttime, it's not safe in there. I do have one other question. You had been quite, vocal on your social media about the terrible conditions at this hotel. I'll just tick off a few here. Key cards weren't working. You couldn't get in and out of your rooms. The water was shut off. The power was shut off. The AC wasn't working. There was no Wi-Fi. The towels smelled like vomit. There was bottled water that had to be used for everything. The food was bad. The drinks were bad. Do you think that maybe Sudiksha and the other kids and others were maybe down on the beach more than they would have been otherwise because the conditions at the resort seemed to be so bad?
I think that 100%. I know people that got locked out of their rooms, and because of the power being out for hours, days on end, the customer service was not able to help them or, regenerate their cards to work in their room. So people were sleeping in other people's rooms. They were sleeping on the pool chairs. They were sleeping by the beach. They were staying out as long as they could because there's no AC in the rooms, and the room could get 80 degrees plus.
You have been so helpful, Delani. Thank you so much. And as we continue to look into these questions, I may call you again just to see if the accounts that we're hearing from down there match what you saw when you were there at the same time. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
So there is a possibility that Sudiksha could be alive. Obviously, they went to Punta Cana, and it wasn't that much of a great experience. It doesn't sound like it, but it could have been fun. But it doesn't disqualify her disappearance. If she's with friends and she disappeared, where is she? Where is Sudiksha? Where can we find her? Her last whereabouts were on the beach, right? Well, we're going to get to the bottom of that. We're going to get to the bottom of that.
Public. Nate Foy has more on where that search stands today. A 20-year-old college student from the U.S. goes missing on a spring break trip to the Dominican Republic. Nate Foy has more on where that search stands today.
A desperate search is underway for 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki. The University of Pittsburgh student was on a spring break trip with friends in Punta Cana, where she went missing early Thursday morning.
We want to find her. We want to hopefully find her safe and sound. Right now, there's just so much that we don't know.
Konanki arrived at the Dominican Republic on Monday.
So should I give the day exactly, the Monday? I'll just let this play.
Was last seen on surveillance video at 4:15 a.m. Thursday morning, heading to the beach with a group of people.
So she was there for all these days, Monday through Thursday, right? Monday through Thursday, and let me see here. Let me get the dates right here. Okay, Thursday.
Surveillance cameras capture that group later returning without Konanki.
So the surveillance, it shows her at 4:15. Means that was the last time we know and she was alive on Thursday. So that's going to be March 6th. No, wait, right? Correct. Yes, I'm right. Okay. March 6th. Last seen on the beach per flyer at 4:50. That means she was still alive.
Who is believed to have stayed behind with a young man. According to local reporting, authorities are now interviewing him to determine what happened leading up to Konanki's disappearance. Some local reports say authorities believe she may have drowned, but officials in Loudoun County, Virginia, where Konanki is from, say there's currently no evidence of that.
So the principal thing that you do in a situation like this is the FBI and our partners, the Dominican Republic, Civil Defense, and the Dominican Navy. They're searching for it, but they're also collecting as much information, putting together a footprint of exactly what and where she had been.
Konanki was officially reported missing 12 hours after she was last seen. Several Dominican agencies are conducting search efforts, with the Dominican Navy assisting and 4 drone teams deployed. Authorities in the U.S. and Dominican Republic are continuing to interview additional witnesses, and they are continuing to review phone and video records. In New York, Nate Foy, Fox 32 Chicago.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Listen, guys. Sudiksha traveled to the Dominican Republic with 5 female friends from the University of Pittsburgh. during their stay at the Riu República Hotel in Punta Cana, they met Joshua. They met him there. He wasn't with the group. A 22-year-old senior from St. Cloud State University in Minnesota, who was also vacationing there on March 6th, 2025. After spending time together at the hotel bar, their group decided to go to the beach, while most of her friends returned to the hotel at 5:55 a.m. So she was with a stranger. She wasn't with her friends. But then her friends left her with this stranger. I am going to say this. Whoever her friends are, you left her with a stranger. Doesn't matter if he's domestic. I think that was foolish. He's a stranger. It's the location which you should be afraid of. That's DR. Part or not, that's not United States. You left her with a stranger, and he comes back without her like nothing. How can you leave someone you was chilling with on the beach? I mean, most guys kind of want to get a room, if you get what I'm saying. You didn't do that. After the hotel, you went to the beach. After the beach, you just left her? Why did you leave her there? Guys in the comments, we know what we're talking about. If it ain't the beach, we want some better alone time. I don't know. Something's a little weird here. Friends don't leave
Chicago.
It's a bit strange. Okay, so now we're working up this timeline here. So the videos that I'm showing you are in order. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the 99 likes. Damn, YouTube, you hit the like button. Appreciate it. If you are new, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. Let's do it.
A college student from the United States vanishes on the beaches of the Dominican Republic while on spring break with friends. What we know about the last time she was seen, what may have happened to this 20-year-old girl now missing in the Caribbean. We are following a story that has been developing fast out of the Dominican Republic. It is a country where thousands of college students and young people go every year for spring break to escape college for a little bit, to go blow off some steam. But right now, authorities from the Dominican Republic as well as the United States are searching for a missing college student. This is 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki. She is a student at the University of Pittsburgh, and this is the missing person poster that authorities in the DR put out for her. Now, here's what the rescue efforts to find her have looked like since she was last seen Thursday, March 6th in the early hours of the morning. This is video of Dominican authorities using helicopters to search the beach where she was last seen. So let's break down the timeline of what we know as far as when she went missing. According to local media outlets in the Dominican Republic, Konanki was last seen on the beach around 4:15 in the morning on Thursday with a group of friends at the Riu República Resort in Punta Cana. Now, this is an all-inclusive kind of place, one that is very popular with spring break college students. Its website advertises deals like $90 a night for all you can eat and drink 24 hours a day with access, as you see in these pictures, to the beach. Local police tell CNN that around 5:55 a.m. on Thursday, 5 women and 1 man are seen leaving the beach on surveillance video. Konanki was not one of those people. The outlet reports that she is believed to have stayed behind with the young man. Now, at the time of this reporting, that is the last time anyone had heard or seen the 20-year-old girl. Konanki is, again, 20 years old. She is an Indian citizen, but a permanent resident of the United States, and she resides in Virginia, just outside.
You guys heard that? She is a U.S. citizen. Her ethnicity of Indian. She's Indian. She is full-blown American, and she's one of us. Period. And she went to Pittsburgh University. Well, I believe Joshua went to Minnesota.
Citizen, but a permanent resident of the United States, and she resides in Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. The local sheriff's office in Virginia put out a release saying that they are working with Dominican authorities on this search. Konanki's dad spoke to CNN from the Dominican Republic and said that his daughter arrived in the Caribbean nation on Monday last week for spring break, and she was planning to study pre-med when she returned to the University of Pittsburgh in hopes of one day having a career in medicine. Now, her dad, again, now in the Dominican Republic, said authorities have told him that they have searched the area of the beach where she was last seen multiple times. And here are more images from Dominican authorities of that search. So now we've gotten to the part of the story where anonymous media reports can make it difficult to try and put a timeline together and to understand exactly what the authorities think happened at this point. According to CNN, the young man who reportedly stayed behind with Konanki was last seen leaving the beach at 9:55 in the morning alone, which is roughly 4 hours after that larger...
Wait. I'm sorry about that. I missed that little part right there. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Just 5-second rewind.
The authorities think happened at this point. According to CNN, the young man who reportedly stayed behind with Konanki was last seen leaving the beach at 9:55 in the morning alone, which is roughly 4 hours after that larger group of people left around 6 a.m., leaving Konanki and this young man behind. And
4 hours? Yo, hold on. I'm gonna let this finish. Wait a minute. Hold on. No, hold on. Wait. Wait a minute. Yo. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the fuck is going on? This can't be...
Per CNN, people left around 6 a.m., leaving Konanki roughly 4 hours after that larger group of people left around 6 a.m., leaving Konanki and this young man behind. And per CNN, Konanki's friends alerted the authorities that she was missing around 4 p.m. Thursday, which is 12 hours after she went missing. Now, that young man, who was last seen leaving the beach at 9:55 in the morning, was interviewed by Dominican authorities, and it's unclear the story he gave, but police, according to CNN, are still trying to corroborate it. Then you have what ABC News is saying, with their sources telling them in Punta Cana that they believe Konanki at this point died of drowning. Their sources are
Stop it. Wait a minute. If she died of drowning and he was with her for that long, extensive time, why didn't he report that? At that time, why, even after, if you would have woke up after, why didn't you? Until her friends reported at 4 p.m. What? And drowning? Wait, no, bro.
Telling them that Konanki and this young man went for a swim before the sun came up when it was still dark out, when they were left behind, and then Konanki was caught up by a big wave and drowned. ABC...
Time out. Yo, wait a minute. If that was... How can you know that? And if you knew that, you would have reported it at that time. How can you be confident it was... a wave that took her? How can you know that? If you would have witnessed it, you would have reported it at that time. This shit is... Wait, time out. This is so...
And this young man went for a swim before the sun came up when it was still dark out, when they were left behind, and then Konanki was caught up by a big wave and drowned. ABC says their police sources say that friends who were seen with Konanki, they were all interviewed by authorities and have not been charged. You obviously can't imagine what the family of this young girl is going through right now. Her dad has spoken to multiple media outlets. He's in the Dominican Republic trying to help with the search, trying to find his daughter. And it doesn't appear that her family at this point is ready to go with the theory that she drowned. Her father told WTOP in Washington, D.C. that he believes that if she had drowned, that her body would have washed up on the shore at some point over the 4 days that she's been missing. He's calling on Dominican authorities to investigate other possibilities like foul play, including kidnapping or abduction. WTOP does cite a police complaint which reportedly reads, quote, "While it is possible that Sudiksha drowned, there is growing suspicion that there may be a crime, specifically the possibility of kidnapping." It also says the name of someone that Konanki's family calls a, quote, stranger. Who is that person who was left behind with her on the beach?
Exactly.
We don't know that person's name as of yet, what his connection may be to this young college student who's missing. Konanki's dad says that he also finds it suspicious that she would leave her phone and wallet with her friends because he says she always had her phone on her.
Ooh. Ooh. That's true.
Missing. Konanki's dad says that he also finds it suspicious that she would leave her phone and wallet with her friends because he says she always had her phone on her. Before we get back to this episode of On the Case, I want to thank our sponsor, Upside. Upside out. First to use the description of that will give you an extra. Joining me now to talk about this search and this investigation is Colin Schmidt, retired special agent with the FBI and founder of Finora Software. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know this has been a fast developing story over the weekend, and then now here we are at the start of the week. What stands out to you at this point as everyone's trying to figure out what happened to this young girl?
Well, it seems very similar to the Holloway investigation that happened many years ago, where it was a spring breaker, went out, had an interaction with either a local or another male, and then disappears. So the most important thing here to focus on is the timeline, and that'll be the challenge for the investigators to fill in every single second of that timeline to determine, obviously, where she is and what happened to her.
And everything at this point we're getting is through different media reports, and there's not a lot of official statements that have been made by Dominican authorities. And before we get into that timeline, as somebody who worked with the FBI, how do these investigations play out where Dominican authorities are, the ones that appear to be leading it, but then you have federal and state agencies in the United States trying to figure out what happened? Who takes the lead as this goes on, as far as where this investigation goes?
Well, the first thing is, obviously, Dominican Republic is a sovereign country, so they are the ones who control the investigation. And if this, I believe that some of the reporting is that this young lady is a U.S. citizen, therefore the FBI would have the primary jurisdiction of any U.S. law enforcement. So in a case like this, I believe the Miami field office handles all the Caribbean nations. And so there is an agent that is assigned to several countries down there, and there might even be one in the Dominican Republic called an assistant legal attaché, and that's the FBI's representative to a foreign country. And then they work with the State Department. And in this case, if there is a request for assistance, it would go through the State Department to the FBI, and then that agent, that ALAT FBI agent, would reach out to Miami, and they would send down resources to assist the Dominican authorities to do the investigation. But to answer your question, the Dominican authorities would take the lead on a case like this.
Because what does that assistance, because we always hear, and I know even she was from Loudoun County, Virginia, and the sheriff's office there said that they're trying to assist any way they can. Like, what does that assistance actually look like in these types of investigations?
Well, there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. Is the assistance on the ground in Dominican Republic, and then the assistance in the local area where she came from. So the sheriff's department might be going out and interviewing people to find out if she had any contact with any of her friends and family locally. And then in the Dominican Republic, the Dominican authorities may not have access to higher level investigative tools like the ability to exploit cell phones, to do things with video, or to look at surveillance video or other electronic capturing of the evidence to assist them in kind of exploiting what's on there.
And we don't know at this point what more the authorities know, but from what's been reported, this timeline where she was at the beach 4:15, 4:50 in the morning, she stays behind with what's been described as a young man. We don't know who he is, what his background is. Her dad had said that she had just met him, so it appears at this point to be a close friend. It stood out to me that he doesn't leave the beach until about 10 o'clock the next day or later that morning, about 5 hours later.
4 hours.
If you're one of the investigators involved here, how suspicious is that? Because I just think of the sun comes up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's not even a case if you say you fell asleep on the beach that you woke up and then you went to go find help. It just seems really suspicious.
Well, it comes down to the attribution of where that information came from, that he was on the beach till 10 a.m. So the first thing, if that's his statement, then that needs to be corroborated. So that's done with his own cell phone, taking a look at it, or talk to the people that were around there, or if there's other people on the beach. Because at 10 a.m. in a resort area, you're going to have lots and lots of traffic. I mean, it's going to be packed. So to say that he was there till 10 a.m., you're going to have lots of witnesses that are going to be able to confirm or state that's not the case. So basically what they're going to do is, if that is his statement, they're going to take it, break it apart, and try to corroborate everything in there. And then when they find those statements that are apparently untrue, then that's where they start to dig in and try to get to the truth.
It'll be, once his identity comes forward, he certainly hasn't been charged with anything at this point, and maybe just a friend, maybe, who knows what happened. One storyline that's been brought out, a theory, was that she drowned and she went for a swim before the sun came up, which is always dangerous. Rip currents can be really dangerous, that a wave got her, pulled her out to the ocean, and she drowned. If there's no video, let's just say this person comes back and says, that's what happened, and there's no video to corroborate that, and her body's not recovered. I mean, how do authorities go about trying to figure out whether that would actually happen?
Well, it's going to come down to statements that he's made or activities he's made independent of her. So the cell phone, if he's made any statements to any friends or coworkers, and if there's any other people who had observed them together, if this person is indeed involved. So right. It's just it's going to take some classic gumshoe work, where they're just going to have to go out there and talk to lots and lots of people to find out what really happened and fill out that timeline. And in a case like this, your biggest enemy is time. The longer it takes to do any of these things, the more likely evidence is going to disappear, and the truth is not going to be found.
I know her dad has said that he, through media reports, is not ready to accept the theory that she may have drowned, and they want an expanded investigation to look into something like perhaps a kidnapping or abduction. What's the process of that happening if maybe the Dominican authorities do believe that the drowning theory is the one that they want to go with?
Well, likely he's going to want the FBI to get involved and to work with the Dominican authorities. And once again, that's a process that goes through the State Department, and they interact with the Dominican authorities to get invited in for the FBI agents to be on the ground to conduct an investigation. And really, I think what he's looking for is he wants more resources put towards this, because there is too many pieces of this puzzle that just don't seem to line up.
Yeah, it's another thing too, and in your experience, it was reported that she wasn't reported missing until later that day, like 4 p.m. on Thursday, which is roughly 12 hours from the last time she went missing. Maybe it was a case where friends didn't want to make it more than what it was, and that she hadn't come back. Does that stand out to you if you were investigating this, that it just took such a long time for it seems, at least on the outside, for her to be reported missing?
Well, any investigation comes down to critical thinking skills, and you look at it from a perspective is like, okay, if my friend was missing I expected her back at 8 a.m. and she wasn't back at 8 a.m., I would perhaps look for an hour and then I would report her missing. That's what I would do. So we have to I wasn't there, so we don't know what the circumstances are. And the other thing that would go is who reported her missing and why. And then, of course, why was there such a large gap in time? And there might be an explanation to that, but then it comes right back around to burning a little shoe leather and talking to all of those people and all those friends to find out what is the real timeline and why did it take so long to report her missing.
As an investigator, if you could take us inside the interrogation, the interview room, and if you have someone sitting across from you and being like, I don't know what happened, or we went for a swim and a wave took her and that's the story that I'm going to go in and tell investigators. What's the follow-up question? What's the next step to try to figure out what happened beyond, as you peel that onion back beyond just the initial statement that someone gives in a case like this?
Well, if you're going in to interrogate somebody or ask them admission-seeking questions, generally speaking, you want to already know the answer to the questions you're going to ask. And then at that point, if he starts to be evasive, then you're going to look at his body language. And then you want to have some sort of lever to get him to come up with what really happened. And that's why you only ask, generally, if you can, only ask questions you already know the answer to. So with somebody like this, it depends on if he has a lot of experience with law enforcement where he's been questioned for criminal activity, then he might be a harder nut to crack. But if he's just a college kid and the investigators are experienced, I'm confident they'll be able to get the truth from him.
Looking at her she was last seen on a beach, and just from investigations you've done, what are some of the challenges of the geography that investigators are dealing with?
Well, it comes down to weather and wind, and so if they were looking for any evidence of her being there in terms of walking or whatever, or clothing or stuff like that, you're dealing with sand, you're dealing with wind, you're dealing with the water, and you're dealing with lots of people that are probably in a potential crime scene walking through it. So that's why it becomes very, very important. The time aspect of this is get the resources there and do the investigation and backtrack where she last was in the event that you can find something that would link her to where or what really happened.
I'm going to put you on the spot here with this question too. So if you don't have an answer to it, I totally get it. But her dad had mentioned that he believes at this point, and I can't imagine what he's going through without a doubt, but he believes at this point that her body would have washed ashore over the 4 days she went missing.
Absolutely.
Had she been, had she drowned, had a wave taken her. I don't know what the conditions are in the Dominican Republic right now and what the rip currents look like, but how likely is it that if a body gets taken by a wave that it actually would come back to shore as opposed to kind of being lost at sea forever, even if it was from a shoreline?
Well, it's less likely than if it was dumped outside in a field, because in a field you're just dealing with animals and wind and rain. But when you dump something in water, you add 3 or 4 more variables to it. You deal with more predators, you deal with current, and you deal with the fact that it could be going anywhere. So I can't really answer that question because you just don't know the topography and the environment that it potentially could have gone into. And frankly, if there were predators in the water or it's known for predators, there's a high likelihood that it may not have washed ashore, unlike in the United States if it was in a river or a lake where there's very few predators. So I hold out hope that she didn't drown and she's still alive. But to hold out hope that the body should have washed ashore, it's somewhat unlikely, but anything's possible.
Well, and I imagine too, to some of those variables you're talking about, with and I know this is kind of where the morbid conversation goes, but unfortunately in these types of cases, when someone goes missing, the conversation goes there. But the time that investigators would have to recover a body, if it's in water, how does that impact that timeline?
Well, it's like I said, if you have a body outside, you don't have the water that's amplifying, depending on the temperature of the water, the decomposition as well as
decomposition is escalated quickly on warmer waters. This is the problem that I'm having here is that, I'm going to pause it here for a second. Here's the problem that I'm having. Before I say my problem, I want to make it very clear in the chat. Whoever has opinions and theories, it's welcome here. Freedom of speech. It's your opinion. It's all welcome here on Novacity. Speculation, however, is welcome, but just make sure that it is distinguished between speculatory and then it being fact, it being labeled as fact, okay? I want to make that very clear here. So anybody in the chat on Facebook and YouTube, you can say whatever you like. Just make sure, you know that it's, your opinion or not. Let's get back on track here. A lot of bodies in water. I have learned this on numerous cases. Let's say one, for example, that I covered last year, Riley Strain. I'm not going to stroke my ego. In the river, his body respectfully started to absorb a lot of water. Turned into a darker color, very dark brown, near black. Decomposition when it comes to water is more rapid. The body bloats because of breakdown of bacteria in the gut that leads onto the rest of the body inside inside the arms and legs, and then when more gases, because more bacteria is formed, and the bacteria inside primarily the gut, it does release the gases because the body's dead, decomposition, it denatures inside and release these gases. Those gases, they add and add and add, and it makes the body float like a lot. And as these days continue, which time is against, and it is March 6th when she disappears, leading to 9 days as of today, that body would heavily decompose because of the moisture, the warm water, the temperature, what have you. So the body's not washed ashore. The father doesn't believe it. And this guy, he's kind of believing it himself, hear him speak. But he says it's possible that she still can drown. I'm having a little bit of issue here because I'm reading a statement by, I wasn't going to get into this now. I was going to wait for tomorrow for this statement. But I'm going to get into it now and tomorrow. I'm going to read this statement to you. And let me know what you guys think about this, okay? So, we got Josh here on the left, and we got Sudiksha on the right. Right? Now, Joshua said in his statement, he was the last one to see her, Miss University of Pittsburgh student in Dominican Republic. He said he rescued her from drowning, only for her to vanish a short time later. That's what he said. That's what he said. I'm sorry, Joshua, did you say you rescued her from drowning? So she almost drowned and she could have been kidnapped? Or she almost drowned, you saved her, then she drowned again, but you left her? You wasn't speaking before, but to put out wait a minute. Hold on, Joshua. You saved her from, see, you might think this might work with you. I can't, for legal purposes, can't say that you caused this, but in my opinion, I can say what I want. I just have to label it as not being fact. Your statement sounds very fucking dumb, and let me explain why. Any individual, you are a college student, you are an adult. If you saved her from drowning, which kind of tells me that you are coherent enough to actually save someone, means that you don't seem to be that intoxicated. Because if that's the case, wouldn't you need to be drowning? But you saved someone drowning while you were drunk? But then you left someone who almost died? For her to go back into the water? But how? Wait a minute. Why would she go back into the water if she almost drowned? And you saved her while you were drunk? But then you left a girl that almost died for her to go jump back into the water and die? Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta make. Let's talk about the friends. Okay. So this is the thing. The problem I have with the friends. See, girls, and I have sisters. I have friends. I have been dating. I have done a lot. Girls would leave their friends to go, girl, you know, go get him. Go be with him. We're gonna leave you some space. That I do understand. That happens, guys. But to take her phone and her wallet, you know, I don't like that. But maybe they took it because they knew that she was going to the beach, to the water. That's understandable. But she could have just left her phone and the wallet on the sand in the beach with your stuff. But here's the thing. My problem is, if you have friends and you guys are all drinking at the hotel bar at Riu, it's called Riu, right? If you know she has been drinking and intoxicated and you're leaving her with a stranger and you're taking her device, that doesn't seem wise. I mean, give a fuck if that's your friend. That is very fucking stupid. You're leaving her with a guy, a stranger you do not know at all, while you have been drinking in the middle of the night in another place that is not domestically in America. You're going to DR. But you don't want to you took her phone. Regardless, if she said, take my phone, guys, just be like, no, girl, I'll text you. Let me know how you are, if you're okay. What are we doing with that? What are we doing? You are all adults. You all know right from wrong. Whether he or she's intoxicated, it doesn't look that good for the friends. But most of all, it does not look good for Joshua. I want to continue with these videos because I am getting a lot of information here. And I don't like what I'm hearing. Now, am I saying that the friends were responsible for this? No, that's not what I'm saying. Hey, don't be fooled. I can change. I can change that. I need to hear more details. But so far hearing this, I've studied this before I went on. I know a little bit, but I'm learning new stuff like what happened with he's rescuing who? He rescued her from drowning, but Huh? Like what? I don't like that at all. And if you rescued her from drowning and you left, why didn't you report her missing? You were the last one with her. Could he? What?
Huh?
I don't know what's going on.
Intensifies for the missing University of Pittsburgh student that has gone missing in the Dominican Republic for the last 6 days right now. Let's go out live there where we have Fox News' Nate Foy joining us with the latest here in this investigation. Nate, what is new today?
Hey, Mike, we are in the water off of Punta Cana, not far from where Sudiksha Konanki was last seen early Thursday morning of last week. I'll ask my photographer to just pan to the Riu República resort. This is where she stayed. You see a lot of people here still celebrating their spring break. People on vacation. I'll ask my photographer, Doug, to zoom in on the red flags. Those red flags are up at this specific resort to symbolize dangerous ocean conditions. And the neighboring resorts that we can see all have yellow flags. So this presumably went up after this terrible disappearance, or it could have been up before. We're working to learn that information. Meanwhile, behind my photographer, I'm not sure if he can actually show you, but we have search teams continuing to try to gather any evidence to find this missing 20-year-old American college girl. We earlier were speaking with some Dominican armed forces who came over to our boat and told us to be careful because they have scuba divers in the water. Yesterday we saw helicopters and drones being used with volunteers on the beach, just trying to find any information they possibly can. And the search zone has also expanded as the Dominican National Police say they have 300 workers out here. They're re-interviewing all witnesses, trying to figure out exactly what happened. This is an American Indian girl who was visiting the Dominican Republic with her friends from the University of Pittsburgh. And according to surveillance video, you see that they go out to the beach just after 4 a.m. on Thursday morning. And the friends shortly return about an hour after that. The gentleman that is seen with his arm around her doesn't return to the hotel until 8:52 a.m. as you see a helicopter.
She is so beautiful, magically beautiful. Reminds me of Jasmine from Aladdin. This poor girl. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how on either side of the fence, there's just stories covering individuals. But who, if she was kidnapped, who took her? And why would he leave her alone? If she went to the beach with him, why would he leave alone? Where else would she go other than possibly drown? That means that you could have called the cops or ran for help. But then again, you rescued her the first time. Why would she go back in the water? This doesn't make no sense. Janice, again, thank you for the 15 direct and Cash App. Janice, let me know if you want me to go. Remember, guys, if you want to donate straight to the electric bike, the electric unicycle, say that in the message. Gift bike. Put that, and I'll put it towards that. Or if not, just don't. I don't know. Thank you so much, Janice. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Jan. I don't know where Janice is, on Facebook or YouTube. I don't know. Both were sloppy drunk. Very bad choice. What? Do we know what level of drunkenness? The meter? Where's the bar for that? Who was more drunk? Who was intoxicated? Who was somewhat, not so drunk after all? I don't know. I didn't know a drunk person could rescue another drunk person in the water. It's kind of weird.
Right here, coming towards the Riu República resort where Konanki was last seen. I mentioned the gentleman that she was with went back into the hotel hours after everybody else and reportedly told police that he passed out and threw up on the beach after swimming with Konanki, claiming that he got out of the water because of rough conditions, which we see symbolized with the red flag. But this right here, an example of the tremendous resources.
Then why didn't you get for help? Why did it? I don't understand this. Okay.
Resources that are being deployed, an international search effort to find this 20-year-old girl whose parents are here in the Dominican Republic, pressuring investigators to try to figure out what happened and to consider all possibilities. Again, drugs also being used. Every single resource that is available is being used right now, but still search, there are no answers. Hopefully that changes soon. We'll send it back to you, Mike.
Yeah, Nate, it's terrible for the family what they are going through right now. Is there anything in the investigation? Is anyone being called a person of interest? Do they have anybody that they are zeroing in on, or is this just something that they are still just going through the motions here of this investigation?
So the Loudoun County Sheriff in Virginia, where this girl is from, came forward and described a person who is a witness in the investigation as a person of interest. But the Dominican police have not said that, and we are making the editorial decision to not communicate that information with that specific verbiage right now. So right now, all we are reporting is that the Dominican police are re-interviewing all witnesses involved in this investigation.
All right, Nate Foy with the very latest out there in the Dominican Republic. We appreciate your reporting. Thanks so much for the updates, and we'll continue to look for more as they become available. All right.
I'm going to be working on this case. I'm calling out. I'm going to call out whoever, regardless. I don't like this. This poor girl just wanted to have fun. A pre-med student, literally, who wanted to be a future doctor in America. She's an American, a beautiful, young, talented female who put trust in some stranger. We got to stop this. Yo, we got to stop this. Enough. Like, listen. Teach your girls. Teach something. Enough. Stop putting trust into strangers, regardless. We need to teach each other how to be better friends and better strangers. This is ridiculous. Listen, after listening to this for the past 50 minutes, I don't like what I'm hearing. I don't. So far. I don't. There has been a lot of contradictions here. And I wrote on my notes right here, I got more contradictions. I just haven't told you yet. I want to finish this up a little bit. And we got surveillance footage. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button. That would mean so much to me. Please hit the like button. And we have 274. I know it's late at night, 12 in the morning, so I don't expect like 1,000 viewers or 2,000 like we get. I don't expect a lot. I don't. It's Friday. People it's in the club right now, shaking it. But at least I have you here. You guys are incredible in the chat. And thank you for this. Thank you for donating to the electric bike, Janice. I really appreciate that. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. Let's continue this.
The latest now on the mysterious disappearance of this University of Pittsburgh student on spring break in the Dominican Republic. We're seeing new images of Sudiksha Konanki, who was with her friends walking away from their hotel.
This was last Thursday, right before they all went to the beach. This video is part of an evolving investigation into what happened to the young University of Pittsburgh student. Police say that around 4:15 a.m. on Thursday, March 6, after drinking with her friends in the hotel's lobby, Konanki and her group were seen on camera heading to the beach with two men.
Now, initially, police said the group returned to the hotel about 2 hours later, but that changed after a closer examination of the recovered surveillance video. Now, police say that
Whoa!
Drinking with her friends in the hotel's lobby, Konanki and her group were seen on camera heading to the beach with two men.
Now, initially, police said the group returned to the hotel about 2 hours later, but that changed after a closer examination of the recovered surveillance video. Now, police say that the group came back from the beach just 40 minutes after they left at 4:55 a.m. But this
What are we doing here? Wait, okay. Hold on. Okay. Now I do see what people were talking about in the chat. Okay. I understand. Okay.
The group came back from the beach just 40 minutes after they left at 4:55 a.m., but this time without Konanki and one of the men. That man, who has not been publicly identified, then left the beach alone just before 9 a.m. Apparently, that man told authorities that he and Konanki both went into the ocean, but he got sick, came out of the water, and fell asleep on a lounge chair. He said Konanki may have been swept away by a wave. Now, while the man is not considered a suspect at this time, a law enforcement source says he's being kept in a hotel room under police watch as the investigation continues.
Interesting. So he's still a main suspect. I'm understanding now. The times were mixed up. There was contradictions in everyone's stories, but I can understand how it could be, though. I'm not going to sit here and label everything like, suspect, that's weird. No, there's some things, just people's stories, even him, could be true, but not everything. Let's not be fooled now. Let's keep digesting information. I gathered a whole bunch for you guys tonight. Keep an open mind, but just listen to details.
Dominican Republic thinks Konanki may have been involved in an accident, and he has ordered a, quote, special search operation in the ocean. Our next guest spent years diving for the FBI and established their underwater forensic program. Bobby Chacon joins us again. Bobby, welcome back to the show. Although it's on an awful story, what would divers look for in the ocean? There are strong currents there.
That's right, Elizabeth. And you normally you won't put divers in the water unless you have a finite area to search. So unless you've narrowed it down to an area where you think this person may be. And as you've seen some of these helicopter shots, the water there is crystal clear. You can actually search from the air with those drones you mentioned and with those helicopters you saw on your shot there how crystal clear that water is. So if there's a body down there, you could probably see it. The thing you want to know is where it could have drifted to. You want to know the prevailing winds, the prevailing currents in that area, and so where that body might have drifted. Because over a number of days, that body's going to move. You're not in a lake, you're not in a river. The body's going to move, and so you want to know which way it's moving, and then you want to concentrate your searches in that direction.
The waters in this area can get rough, even though it looks pristine and beautiful in this video and these pictures that we're showing you. 4 tourists were just swept away and drowned 2 months ago, right around this area. It was worth saying, though, authorities recovered their bodies soon afterwards. They have not found hers.
That's right. That's what's strange.
Did you hear that, right?
About this is that her body has not surfaced yet and drifted either to the shore, either up or down that beach somewhere. So that is unusual to go this long and not. And like you said, there's a very recent example of just several weeks ago of that happening and the bodies being located. So you're doing 2 parallel investigations. You're doing one on the drowning and one on the possible foul play, and both are kind of moving in the same direction. The interviews with that young man from Iowa are crucial, not only on the foul play side, but on the search side. I want to know, what was she wearing? Where was she in the water exactly? How far out she was, and things like that, because that will all determine if she went under a rogue wave. When and where it happened is crucial. The last known spot is going to be your starting point. From where you start your search.
This 24-year-old man says that he got out of the water, that he was feeling sick, that he'd had too much to drink, and that he eventually passed out on the beach. Apparently, the woman's sarong was found on a lounge chair, but there were no signs of a struggle of any kind. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, look, the physical evidence, or lack thereof, but the physical evidence that you do see, like you said, her sarong not ripped, if it's not ripped or anything like that, and there's no overturned furniture with blood on it or anything like that, it matches his story in that they were together in the wave. They were both heavily drinking that night. And she got knocked by a wave. They both got knocked by a wave. He was able to probably hands and knees drag himself out of the water, but he was so inebriated that he could barely get to a lounge chair to fall asleep or pass out. And then he wasn't thinking about her. I mean, that's his story. I'm saying not that that's what happened, but his story does match up with what we know so far. Until we come across something else that will indicate foul play, that's what you have to go on. So they're smart to keep the dogs on the beach and extend up and down the beach, keep the drones going, keep the helicopters up. Keep the boats in the water. It's a little too soon to have divers in the water because you don't know exact spot. But you can use boat-towed sonar, which looks very far out, and you can analyze that sonar data. So there are a lot of things you can do to be looking for her in the water now, while the possible criminal investigation is going along on land, talking to the people they were with that night, and that kind of stuff.
The FBI is now on the case, and I'm just curious, given all your experience, not just in the FBI, but as an FBI diver, is it possible if she drowned that we will never find her body?
Unfortunately, that is possible. And when you're talking about the ocean like this, you have the Atlantic Ocean to the north, you have the Caribbean Sea to the south. So you have, 2 huge bodies of water amassing there, and you have this kind of strait between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. So you do have areas where that body could be, drift out to sea under the water, and quite frankly, in warmer Caribbean waters, the sea life is very active, and a human body breaks down in the seawater, and it can be consumed often by sea life. It could be that we never find her.
Oh, it's just so heartbreaking for the Konanki family. This comes as we've got tens of thousands of American kids heading down to the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, all these places for spring break. There's a real message here. She was on spring break with some friends of hers from the University of Pittsburgh. You've got to be careful on these trips, and you've got to be careful when you've been drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to sound like the old man, the grandfather of the crowd, but nothing usually happens good after midnight, or when you're drinking heavily, especially in the water. I know how powerful the ocean can be. It's not a place to fool around. And, it's just to be careful. Don't leave your group. When you're in a group, stay in a group. If you want to, pair off, don't go in the water. And I'm talking only from the diver's perspective. Stay out of the water at night. It's a dangerous place, particularly if you're alone or just with one or two other people.
Thanks so much for watching.
That's a good point. So I want to cover something with you guys. Punta Cana, is there sharks? Yes, there's sharks, but it is extremely rare in Dominican Republic. The waters around Punta Cana and are home to various sharks, including the reef sharks and stuff. But it's very, 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 very rare. Very rare. However, these sharks generally stay in deeper waters or just to avoid any type of human reaction. Many sharks in that area are not even aggressive. That being said, they pose very little threat to swimmers, but they are very rare to various shark species, reef sharks, fucking tiger sharks, etc. Now, could that been a reason of her disappearance? Unlikely. And here's for specific reasons. There's been any signs of shark attacks near or around at any time. And even if it was, parts of her or her clothes could have surfaced. It could have blood. It could have surfaced. There has been no increase of shark activity. And that happens when there has been a shark attack. When there's been shark attacks, sharks often like to linger in that area. That hasn't happened either. No signs of the body parts or clothes or any signs of tracks, blood, or anything in that area. Extremely low probability. So I'm good. In my opinion, I'm good on the sharks. As for her drowning, it's just the contradictions in his stories. It doesn't seem to. It's just not it for me. It's not it for me. I'm not saying that he did this. I cannot say that for legal purposes, nor I don't have any proper evidence. But in my opinion, you didn't handle this good, Joshua. Not at all. This doesn't make any sense, especially the contradictory statements from you, Joshua. It doesn't make any sense. So let me read this to you. Joshua told the authorities that a large wave swept both him and Sudiksha into deeper water while they were waiting at knee to waist level. But he initially claimed he rescued her and brought her back to shallow water, but then stated he lost track of her after becoming ill and passing out on the beach. However, no one saw him unconscious on the beach, and he later walked back to the hotel alone at 8:55 a.m. How did you make that conscious decision to walk back and leave her by herself? That's what I wrote down here. It's unfortunate. It is. It's very unfortunate. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to make a part 2 to this. I know many of you people are like, no, we want more. Many people are like, I'm tired. I am going to do a part 2 to this, especially all my research that I've wrote down and everything. I want you guys to hear this. You know what? Maybe I should show that surveillance footage, right? Before we I want to see that surveillance. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see that. Let's see that surveillance footage real quick. This poor girl didn't deserve this. She did not deserve this at all. As of now, he's still a suspect in my eyes. I mean, he actually is still a suspect in general. He's still a suspect. And he needs to remain so. Okay, so this is the footage. What a coincidence that the person that's not with the group tends to be missing. Kristen with the $4.99. She says 4 people drowned there this year. Oh, damn. That's terrible. Kristen, thank you for the super chat. That's good information, Kristen. I didn't know that. I got to look that up. Kristen, you have been you have been on a roll today. Thank you so much. This is the full video, correct? What's up, Axeron? How are you, man? So you can see her. She's right here. And that's him. I hate when they put this big ass sign in front of the fucking video. Like, can we please see the person who's actually missing? Like, I give a fuck about your video. Like, you want to put a big sign over it. Why? I don't, like, what are you doing? She's like, hiding her face. Why did he grab her like that? So the way he just put, he went like this and grabbed it. Like, why you don't grab her like that? Look at her. He pushed her right to her. Damn, chill. Boy, it's touchy. Look at his friend ain't that touchy. His friend is cool, but he's touchy. He is touchy. I don't like the way he grabbed her. Like, did people notice that? Him doing that, bringing her to, like, touchy, bro. Like, you're trying to crop a field like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. He's a wrestler. Shows his aggression, doesn't it? He was drunk. Regardless, don't matter. I'm seeing a lot of comments saying that, no, he's drunk. I don't give a fuck if he's drunk. So what? That doesn't, is that an excuse when you drunken and driving? When you commit a crime? When you assault someone, you still go to jail. I don't give a fuck if he's drunk. I don't that shit goes whoop whoop into out my ear. I'm tired of the excuses. You drunk, right? You of age? Well, it won't hold up in court. You still need to act like an adult and be a man about it. If you're old enough to drink, you're old enough to hold yourself, regardless. Yeah, they were all drunk. Yeah, for real. Guys, if you have any information on this case, any information, I'm going to leave my DMs on Facebook open for 12 hours until the next podcast tomorrow. My Discord is always, you guys join the Discord. You know what's there. Guys, hit the like and subscribe button. I would appreciate that so much before we end this. Hit the like and subscribe, especially if you're brand new. It is the bright red button. Yeah, because we're going to talk about more true crime, more trending topics, and more to come. Like, and the big red button. Make sure it's red. If it's black or gray, you already subscribed. And it says ED, subscribed, past tense. That means you already did it. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching, by the way. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you so much. Who was that? Who sent the super chat today? Kristen. Janice, thank you for the cash chat for the unicycle that we're going to be doing out on the field. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that so much. He got 2 lawyers, says Sam. Well, he better not have done this crime or he could be guilty twice. How about that?